With all the mixed messages, infighting, and conflicting reports from the news coming out of D.C., the new guy felt it was time to hold a press conference and clear things up about himself. Take a look.
Well, I think the press makes me more uncivil than I am. You know, people don't understand. I went to an Ivy League college. I was a nice student. I did very well. I'm a very intelligent person. The fact is, I really believe, I think the press creates a different image of Donald Trump than the real person.
So it isn't any of the stuff you said or how you've said it. You're concerned that the press is making you out to be not a good. I didn't get it. What does he mean?
Professor William T. Kelly, a marketing professor at Wharton from 51 to 82, frequently described Trump as, quote, the dumbest I ever had.
Yeah.
That's a professor.
At the Ivy League school.
Right, at the school.
I was always, I love the phrase, when your actions speak for you, don't interrupt. The people that are living the action don't have to tell you they're doing it.
Exactly.
They just show you they're doing it.
That's what's fascinating. He keeps on saying, I'm really, really smart. I'm really, really smart. But in 2004, Stephen Hawking, who is really one of the smartest people on the planet, was asked what his IQ was, and he said, I have no idea. People who boast about their IQ are losers. And that's the truth. Right?
Thank you.
You don't have to talk about how smart you are.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think constantly calling him stupid and saying that he is, you know, the dumbest president alive, he got elected and he clearly did something right. It clearly resonated with some people. But I will say what's interesting about attacking the press is if you adhere to old political ideology and campaigning and, you know, sort of the old rules of politics, blaming the media means you're losing. It's actually like a really old tactic where you're just like, nothing I'm accomplishing, it's all the media's fault, it's all the media's fault. And we've been talking a lot, Joy, about the importance of humor and comedy. And I actually think a big misstep for him was not performing at the White House Correspondents' Dinner and showing that he can sort of make fun of himself,
He's not capable
make fun of his presidency.
He can't do it.
Well, he
can't.
Why do you think he can't?
He's humorless. He has no sense of real humor. His idea of a joke is Puerto Rico. Did you see that? That's what he thinks is funny.
Yes, I did.
Puerto Rico.
Yes, I did.
Like a 3-year-old.
Well, I think there are theories, Megan, what you were saying about, like, he won the election. There are theories on his ability to persuade people, but any person who is intelligent or smart recognizes there are so many forms of intelligence. He tends to be telling us something about his own insecurity when he defends so much his book smarts.
Exactly.
So everyone misspells words occasionally. I've done it on a tweet. So, but he harps on it. When someone points it out, he's saying more about himself than anyone else.
Well, so why is he bragging about being in an elite school when he hates elites?
Yeah,
his whole thing is about
that's what's fascinating.
I went to an Ivy League school.
You know, well, in 2011, he said of Obama, how does a bad student go to Columbia and then to Harvard? Let him show his records. Well, if you're actually who you say you are, new guy in the office, show your records. Show us how smart you are.
Yes.
He's not going to do it.
Well, and that's the thing.
But the important thing is, the reason why he's so fascinating, though, is he says, I'm so wealthy. I went to an Ivy League school. All these things that if Mitt Romney had maybe tried it, maybe he would have been more successful just owning himself. The one thing I will say is President Obama didn't give a press conference for 10 months. And this off-the-cuff, speaking to the press all the time, he also loves the press, which is why this is confusing to me.
Trump?
Yes. I mean, he can't get enough of it.
Hate.
He's always giving, you know, I think this was he was speaking before he was getting on the White House lawn, I believe. But he's obsessed with the press as well at the same time as attacking them. But if I were advising him right now, I would say try and do an interview with someone other than a political pundit or journalist that you know maybe is a fan of yours or likes you. Try maybe talking to someone.
Here. He needs to be here.
Yeah, come here.
You know, but I think that Whoopi, your point was so your point is so fascinating to me because one, he really attacked President Obama for being an Ivy League educated president. He wanted to see his transcripts, and he often boasted that he graduated first in his class from an Ivy League school. Well, come to find out, with a little bit of research, he transferred into the Ivy League school his junior year after spending 2 years at Fordham University, which is here in New York, a very respectable university. And then apparently, and this is just what's been written, he had an interview with an admissions officer who was friendly with his brother, and that is why he got into this Ivy League school.
But for me,
so why does he attack other Ivy League?
But
why does he attack
hardest
Obama?
thing about all of this for me is I want to know, when did having an education become a negative?
Yes.
Because I grew up and education was everything. Education is what got you where you're going. And so the idea that you, well, I'm talking about everybody. The idea that suddenly now you're an elitist if you went to this college, or if you went to this school, or if you have a thought that's different from this, that you don't get what's going on. So many people have worked their behinds off to go to these schools that I don't understand why. And I know conservatives kind of use that a lot, like it's a bad thing, and I don't know why.
But, you know, but didn't, during the campaign, didn't he say, "I love the poorly educated"?
Yes.
Now a lot of the poorly educated voted for him, and now he's turning on them by saying, "Hey, I'm not
That's what doesn't make any
educated
sense.
like you are," and they still like him.
He's
I don't
attacked
understand
other people
that.
for being
He doesn't
educated.
speak, it's super simple. He doesn't speak like a politician. He doesn't seem scripted.
What does he speak like?
He speaks, I think he speaks like the average American who was sick of being told what to do. I mean, the analysis of Donald Trump's
the average
language
American
and how
speaks
he...
much better than Donald Trump does, honestly.
Listen, I feel, you know, I know we have to move on, but I think trying to understand him and his voters is a lot more productive than just simply attacking him for being stupid.
All right, well, I love how you did that. We'll be right back.